Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a belated birthday card, and I'm starting with this mask that I die cut out of a piece of just scrap cardstock. I used a Spellbinders circle die, but you could use any shape die from any company. And I'm placing this over a piece of white cardstock that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. I'm going ahead and inking this up with my tumbled glass distress ink. And I'm just going to ink the entire circle up because I'm going to be layering some colors. So I'm just using this as my base layer. I want to get that light color down first. And I'm adding quite a bit of ink that'll help the other colors blend. So I'm just making sure that all of the edges are covered, especially the top, because that part is going to stay that light tumbled glass color. The next color I'm going to work with is Faded Jeans, and I'm not going to go all the way up to the top with this one, so I'm starting at the bottom and just working my way up and just adding more and more of that dark color onto there. And then the darkest color that I'm going to be using is the Chip Sapphire, so I'm just adding that to the very bottom of this circle. And I'm going to show you how to blend these colors together a little bit better. So once I finish inking that part up with the Chip Sapphire, I'm going to go back in with my Faded Jeans and add that to the bottom. So I'm going to go over the Chip Sapphire and the Faded Jeans that I had already added and just add a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my tumbled glass and blend all of it together. So I'm just going to go over the entire thing with that tumbled glass. And that's really going to help all of those colors blend together and look like a smooth finished background. So then you can go ahead and remove your mask, which is always the fun part using stencils. So I'm going to add a little bit of stamping to my background piece here. So I'm using this I Mousse You set from Mint Owl Studio. It is brand new for the month of January. It's an adorable 3x4 set, and there's a little tiny star that comes in there. I'm using the solid one, and I'm going to take my Chip Sapphire and just stamp a whole bunch of stars within that circle. You could also use the Faded Jeans or the tumbled glass for this, but I wanted to use the darker color so that it really stands out within my background. So I'm just going to keep stamping this until I get as many stars as I want on here. Another great idea that you could do is heat emboss the stars, so you could make them really sparkly or metallic looking with an embossing powder, but you just have to make sure that your distress ink is completely dried before you do that. So next I'm going to stamp the two images. I'm using the moose and the tree. So I am going to stamp these with my Tuxedo Black Memento ink on a piece of Coordination's 110-pound cardstock. And all of the supplies that I'm using on this card will be linked below, including this really cute stamp set. And I did take my heat tool to make sure that these stamps were completely dried before I started coloring them in with my Copic markers. So I'm going to start by coloring the moose in with the E23. This is just my base layer of color, so it doesn't need to be perfect by any means. And I'm also going to be coloring in the moose's body with this color as well. So then I'm going to take my next darkest color, which is the E25, and just add a little bit of shading into the moose. So these are the parts that you would naturally be a little bit more dark on the moose. And then I'm going to take my E23 and blend both of those colors together. You could definitely add more shading in there with some darker colors, but I just prefer keeping it simple and using only 2 colors. So then I'm going to color in the tummy with the E33. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of shading with the E35. And then I'm just going to blend that in with the E33 once again. For the antlers, I'm using the E81. It's kind of a grayish light cream color. And then for the tree, I'm going to be using the YG63. And again, this is just my base color, so I'm coloring in the entire tree with this color. Usually I would add in the YG61, but currently that marker is dry, so I need to get a refill for it. So then I'm adding a little bit of shading with the YG67, and I'm just flicking that in from the edges. And then I'll go ahead and take my YG63 once again and just blend that out a little bit by flicking that from the edges but going past the darker color. And then for the tree trunk, I'm using the E25. So I went ahead and fussy cut those images out. They're really easy to fussy cut, especially if you just leave the white border around the edges. And then I'm going to take the sentiment from the same set. It says, "Sorry, I moosed your birthday." And I'm stamping this with the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Currently, the two images are not adhered down. I just placed them there so that I knew where I could stamp my sentiment. So after I get that stamped, I can go ahead and adhere those down. I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive with my ATG gun. You could also pop these up with 3D foam squares, but I'm actually going to pop up the entire panel, so I didn't want too much dimension on there. So I'm using the 3D foam squares from Best Creation. These are the large ones, and I'm going to fill up this entire background with foam squares just so that it doesn't get smushed. You could also use just a whole sheet of foam, like the kids foam in the craft store, but I just prefer using these foam squares. And then I'm going to place that on my white A2 size card base. So I need a little bit of bling on this card, so I'm going to be using these gold sequins. These are also from Mint Owl Studio. They are gorgeous metallic gold sequins. They add so much sparkle and shine to your card. So I'm just placing these wherever I want them and then adding them down with some multi-medium in the matte finish. So I just place a little bit of adhesive and then I'll smush the sequin down so that it's fully adhered to the card. And that is my finished card for today, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. We would love to have you and don't want you to miss any of my newest videos. So thank you for watching and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!